What will infuriate them in number 10 is this is all on the eve of the Labour conference. I'm going up to Liverpool on Saturday. The Labour conference begins in earnest on Sunday. This is when Labour is supposed to be showcasing all the best they're doing for the country. And this will now be dominated by speculation over is Keir Starmer going to be challenged? And the talk is, that I hear, it'll be around May, because there'll be local elections next May, which will be appalling for the Labour Party. It'll be appalling for the Tories as well, because of the reform surge. Yeah. And is the Prime Minister going to be challenged?
Indeed, and there's going to be a lot of turbulence between now and then, whether or not there is an official challenge. Well, during an interview on the BBC, Andy Burnham did refuse to be drawn into a discussion on what he described as a hypothetical leadership opportunity. But he said the party needs to focus on getting people behind Labour again.
He also warned that reform, 95 reform, was the biggest issue facing Labour. This is what he said.
A proper plan for the country and a proper plan to be reformed. We've got to work on a plan, a proper plan to be reformed. And we've got a plan to be reformed. That is what matters.
So that was Andy Burnham trying to, in my view,
distance.
Yes, because he knows he's fanned the flames. But he knew exactly what he was doing by giving that interview to the Telegraph, a Tory supporting paper.
Absolutely. And he does seem to be backtracking. But now, to join us to discuss this further, we have the Housing Secretary, Steve Reid. Steve, thank you very much for joining us this morning at short notice.
My pleasure. Good to see you both.
Good to see you. These are not the headlines that Labour were hoping for going into your conference. Can you pull it back to the mission-focused government that Keir Starmer is so keen to press on with?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm here today in Telford, talking to local people about how we're going to give them the powers they need to turn around failing high streets. And we're making an announcement that's going to affect communities up and down this country. People have felt powerless to do anything about high streets and town centres that have been in decline for far too long. We're going to give those communities the powers they need to restrict and limit the number of things like betting shops, vape shops, dodgy fake barbers on the high streets. We're going to give them the powers they need to take over and control empty shop units that are a blight on the high street. We're going to give communities the power, increased powers, to take over closed down pubs so that they can reopen them as the heart of their community. This is what people want to see. This is how we put pride back in people's communities. And I'm talking about that.
OK,
today.
yeah, but Andy Burnham isn't. And I'm just going to remind you, Steve, Secretary of State, what Andy Burnham said. He said that the Prime Minister has created alienation and demoralisation within the Labour Party. He said that he has been approached by Labour MPs to challenge for the leadership because he clearly says he's not doing a good enough job. This is from one of the most senior popular figures in the Labour movement on the eve of your party conference.
The Labour MPs I speak to here in Telford today and the MPs that I speak to in Parliament talk to me about what we can do to get the homes built.
Well, you're not obviously talking to the same ones who talk to Andy Burnham.
They talk to me about how we can turn around the high streets that our people can no longer feel pride in because they've been allowed to fall into such despair. That is what our MPs are talking about, and I know that because I've been talking to MPs today as well as at other
Minister,
times.
you're in denial. You're in denial.
No,
there's a problem with the leadership of the Labour government. Look at the polls. Minister, look at the polls. Look at the polls. 14 months after you got in, you're trailing in the polls.
Well, you know, you've been in politics a long time, observing it, Andrew, and I've been involved as an elected member for a very long time. The polls go up and down. What you have to do is focus on the things we need to get right in order to win people's trust at the next general election. So let's have a look at some of the things that happened over the last year. Wages have gone up more in the last 10 months with this government than in the previous 10 years under the Conservatives. More money in people's pockets. 5 million more NHS appointments, bringing down those waiting lists. 35,000 people who came into this country and had no right to be here have been removed. And today, we're giving communities the power they need to take back control of their high streets and restore pride. People elected Labour into power to focus on their problems and fix them. And that is what we're going to do.
Steve, the problem that people
we're not going to talk to ourselves.
The problem that people sitting at home, and, you know, of course, some people follow politics closely, some people don't. But what people will have noticed is that inflation is now the highest in the G20. Small boat crossings are at record levels. And, you know, nobody's saying that the government has achieved nothing. But the things that people notice haven't improved. And that's the problem that the Labour Party faces. And impartial observers will want the government to succeed. Why wouldn't you want the government to succeed? But at the moment, it looks like things are getting worse, not better.
Yeah. Well, I was very proud at the beginning of this year, first quarter, the fastest growing economy in the G7. That means people are going to get a pay rise. That's why people.
But see, it doesn't mean that. That is just, it's a figure on a spreadsheet when it comes to people's lives.
You haven't had a pay rise for 10 years.
But Steve, you came in and you bailed out public sector jobs with taxpayer money.
That is the right thing for us to focus on. We've got to put money back in people's pockets. We've got to grow the economy. But you did that by taking money from taxpayers public services,
and
we've got to
paying
give people the power they need to turn around failing high streets. So that's
Steve, hang on. Minister, hang on. You talk about putting money back in people's pockets. You took a lot of money out of people's pockets when you whacked up national insurance and you took away the winter fuel allowance.
Well, we had to, unfortunately, take some decisions that were going to give us the money to improve the National Health Service. One of the reasons so many people weren't in work is so many millions of people couldn't even get to see a GP or get an appointment in their hospital. So we've managed, by the decisions we took, to increase the number of appointments by 5 million. That helps people get back to work. That helps them earn a wage. They pay taxes on that. It's money into the exchequer, and that funds the improvement of our public services. The first time that people have had a wage rise for 10 years is with this government, and I'm proud of that because people need money in their pockets.
Can I take you back to Andy Burnham? He'll be at the Labour conference this weekend. He'll be there. He'll be speaking at various events. Do you have any advice for the great Mayor of Greater Manchester?
Well, I think, Andy, you used the right language. Andy is a fantastic mayor of Greater Manchester. Sadiq is doing a fantastic job in London. Tracy Brabin is doing an amazing job in Yorkshire. And we can all learn from their experiences in their localities. Now, Andy is committed to serving his full term as Mayor of Manchester, which concludes in 2028. I know he will want to work with the government to ensure that we bring in the investment that will improve his region, as well as those other mayors will be looking at their regions too. I'm charged with building 1.5 million new homes, or at least getting them built across the country. We have a housing crisis. We have young people that can't get their foot on the first rung of the housing ladder. We've got people that are paying more in rent than they would pay in mortgage. They can't find somewhere decent to live. We will build those homes. I can't do it on my own. I need our mayors to help me and work with me so that we can improve people's life chances and life opportunities.
Don't you also need your mayors to stop criticising the Prime Minister in public?
Well, do you know what? In politics, sometimes you get people that will make comments that some of us won't necessarily like. The key thing to do is focus on what the voters want. They elected this government on July the 4th last year. They said they wanted change. I've listed already for you a series of areas that we brought change in. I won't repeat them, Andrew, but I'm here today in Telford to announce big shift of powers from Whitehall to communities so we can put pride back in their town centres and their high streets. That is a major change. It's something I want to see, and it's the change that people voted for. They're now going to get it.
And how many homes are you hoping to build between now and the next election?
1.5 million by the end of this Parliament.
I bet you don't.
You're on, Andrew. You can buy me a
right.
pint if I don't.
Okay.
I've been speaking to the developers. We're going to take the barriers out of the way. We're going to work with local authorities, and we're going to get it built. And I look forward to that pint.
All right, well, we'll change that. We might have a pint at Liverpool at the Labour conference, Minister.
Steve Reed, thank you very much.
I imagine I'll
for
have to pay for it, of course.
Well, I think...
Lovely to talk to you, Secretary of State. That's Steve Reed, who is the new, of course, Housing Secretary, of course.